My name is Shin Ayon. Nice to meet you. In this time, I discuss about data science in Korea, and I show you my research area. And at the end of this session, I opened my code to you. You can follow my code and my video. You can make a same as my website. The title of data science is Data Whispers When You Ask. Data gathers automatically in current day, but the data itself cannot say anything but me. We should ask something. We should make a question, and we should make a purpose about the data. After that, we can get important information from the data. Let's look at this picture. This is a very famous picture in occupational health specialist. The poor child get a scrotal cancer. It is skin cancer. He chimney sweep workers, and he exposed to PAH, coal tar. PAH is very important carcinogen, and finally he suffered from the scrotal cancer. I got some other picture like this. This is German, and this is England. My question is what is all the picture between two? Yeah, this is older picture. In this time, I want to talk about information didn't upload to the lower position if we did not. This is the older picture compared to this picture. In the country, in that German, the worker wear the personal protective equipment, but the England did not. So England founder of first occupational cancer like that, but they did not prevent the occupational cancer. I think it is a lack of information, and in other words, information inequality is very important in this picture. Let's talk about canary in a mine. Canary in a mine, the gas would kill the canary before killing the miner. The purpose of wanting to excite the tunnel immediately. So the canary in a mine will be someone who has lack of information in current situation. So data science purpose to prevent population who have lack of information. Let's talk about what is data science. What is data science? In the 10 years ago, Drew Conway make a blog. Drew Conway have Venn diagram. The Drew Conway meet a company who want to hire specialists about data science, and they need hacking skill, math and stats, and substantive expertise. After that, after 10 years, this day, the Venn diagram changed to this left bottom Venn diagram. The ability to take data, to be able to understand it, to process it, extract value from it, and to visualize it, to communicate it. This means is visualization and communicate is very important issue about data science. Just understand the process, just understand statistical issue is traditional researcher. So they write article, they write book. Well, the customer and population did not get any important information from that product. So company won't publish visualization or some communication. So hugely important skill in next decade is that. So Google and UC Berkeley professor of information science the Harbarian announced that. In the Berkeley University, they show the 5 steps of data science: the capture, maintain, process, analyze, communication. The capture maintains the process is computer science, and the analyze is statistics or public health epidemiology, and communication is a business concept or communication. So data visualization is very important use for communication. Decision making in the past 10 years, decision making will be done by specialists who have a lot of information. But in this day, communication will be done by some visualized chart or visualized table. So the population can get information as much as specialists of the scientists, specialists of medicine. So this 5 steps overcome the information inequality and improve the equality of the information. Let's talk about Korean data using these 5 steps. There is some text between the data scientist, analyst, the engineer. Here, data engineer, statist, and data science and domain knowledge. For me, public health expertise. For you, medical expertise is domain knowledge. Data science includes all of that. Data analysis includes this skill and mathematics skill, data wrangling, data visualization. And data science is about hardware is big data analysis using parallelizing, something like that. SQL with database, machine learning and other modeling technique used in machine learning issue. And data engineering is database, and Hadoop is big data database. So all of the thing is needed to the scientists. So data science means some of the team or some of the expert men who control of the team. Yeah, again, capture, maintain is a data extraction from 9. Let's talk about some other thing in my presentation. I want to introduce big data in Korea. We have a big data, national health insurance data, death record, air pollution, workers' health examination, and other social health big data, including air pollution or some other geographic information. I introduced this, and I introduced it about the production, visualization, for communication. First thing is health, national health insurance data. National health insurance data is really big data about all of the cover of the 99% of Korean. Every Korean, every time visit the hospital, all of the information of the hospitalization and inpatient or outpatient and use of pharmaceutic or just using other small technique about sanitizing, something like that. All of the data stored in the National Health Insurance Data System. So the public health service, health checkup service, management service, and cure retention service data stored in the data. I want to show this slide. Okay. This is our national health insurance system. There's just sample data, medical checkup data, and elderly data, working women data, infant medical data, and this is guideline. We can submit a request after make a research proposal. After I got an IRB, we can start this step. Data provision and review committee allowed that is suitable for research. We can go next step, and after they check the data, we can get data about this. The detail of DB codes here. We can download this data in server. After we contact to the database, we can analyze all of the Korean data. Okay, I want to show example about all of the Korean data. Because we have all of the Korean data, we can find some vulnerable people in Korea. For example, here is my article about the cancer incidence among air transportation industry workers using the national code to study of Korea, and mental disorder among workers in the healthcare industry. We can get all of the data from the National Health Insurance, and we analyze healthcare workers and others. We find the healthcare workers suffer from mental health compared to the general population of Korea. Let's look at this. Because the big data is big, but big data covers all of the Korean. So in general epidemiology, a small sample size is a main limitation to find the vulnerable people, because the vulnerable people have not union, had not be grouped, so they cannot be analyzed in sufficient sample size. But in national health data, we can get all of the some vulnerable people by this. This article is that if one worker got injured in workplace and he admitted to the hospital, if a big enterprise compensate this work as a co-work, so after he finishes hospitalization, he can return to the workplace. But in small size workplace below 10, employee hire new workers instead of him. So even after finish the hospitalization, the worker cannot be returned to work because other worker remain there. So one worker, the previous worker or current worker, both of them will be retired. So we can analyze, we can find some vulnerable people using national health data. Here is some other example. We can find all of the industry type and all of the disease classification, so we can analyze what industry have highest prevalence of certain cancer. And this analyze is very simple, but is really repeated analysis. So repeating analysis for me is very hard work, but repeating analysis for computer is easy work. So we can make some app like this. Okay. So we can make all of the data because I want, so or we want workers can access this data and find some useful information. What is most important health is for him, for us, like this. Right, it is Korean, but it's total male and female health epidemiology methodology. So okay, like we can download Excel like this. This is a visualization and communication, and it is some other skill to overcome information inequality. Another big data is death certification record of Korean. If someone died in Korean, the cause of death and his job is stored in the registry. This registry covers all of deaths by cause of Korean population. This name of cause of death record in Korea. This record is categorized into classification of disease ICD-10. So we can analyze like that here. Yes, and we already discussed about NHIS, about some injury deaths, particularly suicide. Suicide is not easy to find in NHIS because suicide is death. He cannot go hospital because he already dead. So death record is very most important data to study suicide. We can find some gender and age inequality of suicide, and the job looks like this: service worker man or service worker women, old man in service worker, young women in service worker is high risk population in suicide. It is another example of the big data. And here we can merge the big data. Okay. Yeah, so we can merge the death record data to other national data. This is GDP of Korean data. We can download all of the GDP from Korean Static Institute, and we can download all of the data death record from Korean Statistics, and we merge the data. We found that the recession of decline in GDP linked to the suicide increment in agricultural workers with a time lag effect. And this is some other example about that. We can download influenza epidemic data in Korean statistics, and we can download also death record from the Korean Static Institute. We can merge the data. We can analyze time series relation. We find the influenza epidemic just like this time linked to the suicide in Korean population. This can be repeated because there is the same code and same analysis method like that. In this link here, this if we click as my team created this app, we can click and find something like that. It's same. It is same data. My article. It is suicide here. It is suicide. Yeah. It's injury, right there. So next issue is common data model. We discussed about the big data already managed, already stored in government. Well, it's a common data model. Some other issue: how can we gather? How can we standardize this data? For example, workers' health data is another over the important example of common data model. There are 9 hospitals and 3 million workers with annual health examination in Korea. the business owner, employer, have a duty to take part in the worker's general health examination, and this is enforced by Korean law. And in the law, a worker who exposed the hazardous and 177 should be checked, should be meet medical doctor about their health issue, and this data stored in every hospital, not in governmental database. So they have a different kind of variable, different type of value, so it is not easy to harmonize their data. So we think about the common data model like this. Each hospital have a different type of data, different structure of data, different kind of value, type of value. So we standardized in same structure, same variable, same value. After that, we can use common code to analyze common data. So we can get a routine result in each step, just only one common code. It is the main concept of common data model. This concept of a common data model is approach to transport data content with those databases into common format and its common representation. It means the terminology, vocabulary, coding scheme, and the perform systemic analysis using same code like this. So you can visit ODC is a international community of a common data model. Let's look at our app to handling 9 hospital common data model. We make a same data, so we can use just the same code how can control the 9 hospital data, and we exclude merges and manage data using 9 hospital data. After we download this data, we check like this, and we can select the method, how can you merge, how can you manage, how can reshape the data. After that, we can view the count of the max count and missing like that. After that, we can analyze same method because the hospital, the different type of hospital data already standardized in same model. So the independent variable, dependent variable, and covariant is the same, standardized into same type, same category, same value. So we also make a routine table like that as a logistic regression, and after that we can discuss between the 9 hospital. We can make some harmonized result like that. Some other issue is that because we already talk about vulnerable people. Some vulnerable people. One of the some vulnerable people is industry exposed, various chemical exposure record, but the data it is not standardized into government. So we standardize chemical exposure using cost number or name of a chemical, and after that we can clustering the exposure record like that. We can find who is or what group is exposed to hazardous chemical like that, and we will open this data to worker. We hope our job help overcome the inequality of information. So in the common data model, we analyze the routine table, make a article like this. It's noise exposure and high fasting blood cause, and it's shifty work and sleep disturbance, and this is a noise exposure and hypertension like that. And last Korean big data governmental big data is environmental data. Environmental metadata can be merged out of chemical exposure or population data. Let's see the next slide. Many government conclude create big data according to the year, month, day, hour about air pollution, and the place is city, point, or downtown, and other regional area. So noise, radon, and water quality and radiation exposure will be set by the geographical data, and the time data is year, month, day, hour. So we can merge by time, place, and so on. So I want to share the merging data. Here's yes, here is a Korean, and we figure out we point mapping the industrial area, the number of clustering of industrial area, and here when we collect here is air pollution, here chemical exposure, and hazardous chemical include carcinogen, and its population, the vulnerable population under the adolescent or elderly is a final score about calculated from this data. So we can analyze the chemical exposure. So this is radiation is size of industrial, and we can see world imaging, so we can find that this is industrial area, and there's not downtown, but I want to show other industrial area right here. Okay, now here. Okay. Yes, here is industrial area, and this is a downtown. It's apartment and some downtown. So if we calculate here the chemical exposed to the downtown, so we should go this downtown. We should monitor the air pollution or other chemical exposure. We can discuss to the local community about this healthy pair. So it's not only data analyzed, but also data visualization of facilitated communication, hazard communication between the scientists and population, and or some vulnerable people like that. Finally is individual data. I discussed about big data from government or some other metadata, and now I want to talk about individual data and about data scientists. This is a schematic presentation of platform labor. A platform labor did not have some union, so they have no data, have no big data in government. So we start store the data from platform labor, and we make some auto-stored data like this, here. If we create a questionnaire like that, it's my computer. We store here. Okay, here is the data as automatically stored in my computer. After that, we can analyze this data like that here. And this is heart monitoring. Sorry. It's a real-time heart monitoring, and the platform layer have no gatekeeper about health gatekeeper. So the platform level should be managed health by individual level. So we can download heart rate, sleep time, like that. We can monitor their fatigue, overwork, like that. So it's another example that health EPEL analyze its individual data. Is night work is resting. Night work is resting. It means heart rate. The resting heart rate is an important key marker, important biomarker for future cardiovascular event. As you see, if he work continuous night work, the level of resting heart rate increase. So it should be controlled by the employer or some other gatekeeper, like this. And here is the code, how can visualize the data like that. Yes, I discussed about data science in Korea, and it capture, maintains, processes data computing area after analyzing the traditional epidemiologic area, and communication is visualization is a traditional business model, traditional communication model. All together, we can build the gap, inequality from the information inequality, and we can easily get good communication between the scientist and population. In here is a small workshop, hands-on session. We can visit my book, and you can see how can I make this app using R program. Yeah, you can visit this. This is Korean. I'm sorry, but yeah, this code is Korean. Just click here and copy clipboard, and using R, you can make it like this.
네, 안녕하세요.
Yeah,
샤이니
you can follow this,
좀 하도록 하겠습니다.
and finally, you can make this application like me. And how about here? Okay, here I already show the data visualization is here. I already showed this article, and how can we analyze this article, how can we visualize this article. I opened my code like this. You can follow using my YouTube or this book. Let's just see there's some here. Okay, Yes. This book is the introduce about our program. Yes, I made all of this article and web app and app using R. This R is pre-statistical software, but we can create this other important visualization tool or geographic visualization, also other website. So this is how installed R in Windows, how installed in the R like that. So you can see that this YouTube, and here is a code like that. You can click and copy, and after that you use R like that. I want to show you. If you followed my YouTube, you can install R like this. After that, you can just click, copy, and enter. So you got the same result as my book here like that. So maybe here is a visualization like that. So this visualization is a brain signal, and it's download. You can download, and just following this code you can make a same result as I did. So here is some visualization of the bar chart and time series chart like this. How about the web scraping? Web scraping is another frequently used skill to get data from the web. There is here is COVID-19 status, and we can download right there this URL of the COVID data, and write the read HTML this URL and cross it, and we can download this data like this table, because they say here is table. So we can download table using this code. After we download this code, we can visualize like this, and we can make it here like that. So we find that Canada, France, Italy, Spain, UK, USA, the increment COVID-19 using like this, sharply increased April 2020. So this is YouTube. You can follow this YouTube, and just using my code you can do just really real same as I did. Okay, I present almost 40 minutes and remain 1 hour. You freely use my book and my code, and my YouTube is a small hands-on workshop. From here, from now, you did your free time per small workshop hands-on session. And if you have any question about my presentation, or if you have any question about my book or code, let me know. Please keep contact to me via my email. My email is here. Okay, nice picture. I want to show my paste. Hi, goodbye.